Okay, we need to completely rethink what happened in India in 1857. Seriously, everything we thought we knew is about to be shattered. For over a century, history books have curated this very specific, kind of neat story about what went down. But in today's explainer, we are diving into the incredible 35-year groundwork of historian Sharangar Singh Parihar from his book Bharat Ka Pratham Swatantrata Sangram. And what he found? It totally rewrites the narrative. We're going to uncover a highly coordinated, massive military campaign that has just been completely hidden from mainstream history. 2,500 kilometers, let that number really sink in for a second. That is the staggering distance of a relentless, kinetic military campaign launched straight at the East India Company, which, let's be real, was the proxy for the absolute most powerful empire on the planet at the time. This was not some localized riot, right? It wasn't a random disjointed skirmish. We are talking about a 2,500-kilometer strategic march across the subcontinent, leaving an incredibly organized trail of revolution in its wake. And here's where the story gets literally cinematic. This entire undefeated march, it was spearheaded by an 80-year-old hero, Veer Kunwar Singh. Just picture that, an octogenarian, at an age where most people have long since retired, stepping up to lead a grueling, vast military expedition. Despite his declining health and honestly monumental odds, his sheer willpower and strategic brilliance drove this entire campaign forward. It's just unbelievable. Now, we wouldn't even be talking about this if it weren't for Sharangar Singh Parihar. He realized that the true history of the nation had been left, as he put it, unfold, basically untold. Even decades after independence, India's history was still being viewed through this heavily biased colonial lens. So Parihar felt this deep, personal responsibility to drag the actual grounded facts of this 1857 national armed revolution into the light for a whole new generation of history seekers. And Parihar didn't just sit in a comfy library reading secondary sources to figure this out. No way. He spent 35 grueling years on the ground. His methodology was absolutely relentless. We're talking traveling to hundreds of sites, translating ancient rock and stone cave inscriptions, and tracking down authentic texts. He even uncovered hidden British records, secret letters, and treaties right from the Victoria Memorial. Through hard physical evidence, he proved without a doubt that this was a deeply coordinated national uprising. So the British desperately tried to label all of this as a mere sepoy mutiny, a disjointed rebellion by a few disgruntled soldiers. It was totally a PR move to save face globally and downplay how incredibly close they came to losing their empire. But the historical reality Parihar uncovered, it completely shatters that myth. It was the first national armed revolution. We're talking kings, landlords, peasants, and merchants, all working together in a highly coordinated nationwide military campaign. But here is where the idea of a spontaneous mutiny just totally falls apart. The planning for this actually started 12 years earlier. Yeah, in 1845. Veer Kunwar Singh used the Hariharaksriya Mela, which was Asia's largest fair at the time, as a massive cover operation. Under the guise of attending this huge religious and cultural gathering, he was secretly bringing together landlords, regional kings, and influential folks to plot against the East India Company. The groundwork was literally laid over a decade in advance. And once it started, it was a kinetic blitz. Kunwar Singh kicks things off with the uprising at the Danapur cantonment, secures the weapons, and then just goes on the absolute offensive. He aggressively pushes through Jagdishpur and Mirzapur, marches relentlessly through Rewa and Banda, hits Kalpi and Kanpur, and ultimately drives his forces right toward Delhi. He was in constant, rapid motion for 10 straight months, actively spreading the fires of revolution across the map. It is absolutely mind-blowing when you compare the two sides here. It's the ultimate David versus Goliath matchup. On one hand, you've got an aging leader with declining health, an untrained civilian army, and severely limited funds. And standing against him? The British East India Company, the proxy for a global superpower, heavily armed, highly trained, flushed with endless cash. I mean, on paper, this shouldn't have even been a contest. And yet, against those impossible odds, get this. 10 continuous months of blood-soaked battles, fighting day and night across hundreds of battlefronts. And thanks to Kunwar Singh's strategic genius and mastery of guerrilla warfare, not a single one of his revolutionary commanders was killed in action. Not one. Actually, the only notable tragic loss was his young grandson, who died laughing on the battlefield near Kalpi. The command structure remained completely unbroken against the greatest military force on Earth. If you want to know just how terrifyingly effective this campaign was, listen to the words directly from a British officer, Lieutenant Charles Bowell. He wrote an eyewitness account saying, "We started running into the jungle. The enemy pressed upon us. None of us had the strength to lift a gun." That right there, that perfectly captures the absolute exhaustion and terror Kunwar Singh inflicted. He completely broke their morale, reducing highly trained imperial soldiers to literally fleeing into the wilderness. Now, Kumar Singh was not a lone wolf out there. This revolution was meticulously coordinated. While he was commanding that massive long march from Bihar toward Delhi, he was actively linking up with the absolute titans of the era. He's combining forces with Jhansi Ki Rani over in Gwalior, coordinating attacks with Nana Sahib in Kanpur, and relying on Raja Arjan Singh down in Singhbhum for intelligence and guerrilla tactics. It was a brilliantly synchronized multi-front effort designed to surround the British. But here is where the history becomes truly global and honestly kind of wild. They didn't stop at the borders of the subcontinent. The Indian leaders knew the British were a global superpower, so they realized they needed an international counterweight. So what do? They hatched this incredibly audacious plot to strike a direct military alliance with the Russian Empire. They literally tried to reach out to the Russian Tsar for military backup. The details of this are just fascinating. In 1859, Indian princes elected Rao Raja Tula Singh as a secret envoy. He sets off on this incredibly dangerous journey toward Moscow, carrying secret letters from the Maharajas of Marwar and Bikaner, aiming to deliver a plea directly to the Tsar. And we know for a fact this isn't just some legend. Documents discovered in the Russian archives absolutely confirm this mission happened. It proves the revolution was globally ambitious and hoped to trigger Russian troop movements in Central Asia to pressure the British. So I want to leave you with this explosive thought to take away from our explainer today. When you look at the mountain of evidence Sharangadhar Singh Parihar has unearthed, the 12 years of secret planning, the nationwide network of kings, the undefeated 2,500-kilometer march by an 80-year-old tactical genius, and that audacious attempt to forge an alliance with the Russian Tsar. Knowing all of this massive scale, how could history ever diminish this by calling it a simple mutiny? It was, without a doubt, a profound national armed revolution.